So do you feel like, did you personally, or did you see in others that SCJ relies on shame and fear tactics to control members?
Yeah, pretty much. Like in the moment, I didn't realize it, but there's a lot of shaming, and they call it discipline or earthquakes, And they always made sure they did these things called like mindset trainings. Mindset training. This was back when we were meeting in person. I remember this as if it was yesterday. It had a lot of guilt tripping and shaming involved, where they told us to memorize this verse, and then we would do a bunch of activities. And then at the end of this training, we were supposed to recite the verse in front of everybody. And so there's a room, everybody was lined up doing, when you like wall sit, you know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. So everybody's wall sitting, and then there's different groups. So one group went in the middle of this room, and the leader was like, okay, can you recite this verse? They couldn't. And one of the ladies there started crying. And this is just a specific example of shaming. And there were other moments of shaming that kind of just grossed me out. Actually, one of the people who I basically got into the indoctrination class, she was very wise. She's been around the block. She saw all the red flags. She was kind of curious, so she stuck around and stuff. She also got shamed a few times, and she's like, "Nope, that's not cool. I have boundaries. I already have a lot of red flags. See you later."
Yeah. Do you have examples of that? Like, are any specific stories?
Yeah. So
that you could tell.
Yeah, one of them was with the person I tried to recruit. She's drinking tea. And she's drinking tea for her health. And so there would be a lot of passive aggressive comments being like, oh, well, why are you drinking tea before the Lord? Why you wouldn't do that in front of the president? And so this is inside the indoctrination class. The teacher's calling out what I call my fruit in front of the entire class. And so it turns out that my fruit had health problems and she needed to drink that tea. So the teacher did eventually apologize. There are other times where they would kind of do passive aggressive jabs where they're just like, oh, well, this happened to my girlfriend. Oh, well, some of you aren't smiling enough or aren't going to all of your meetings. So they never directly say who it is, but they do it in front of other people. Mm-hmm. And this is like a common theme where like maybe, for example, I would kind of like, I remember I asked very specific questions about doctrine changes. Some of them I can't really explain without giving the full context, but I'll just go ahead and list them off. Like one of them being like, there used to be 2 wars in Revelation, and then they updated 3. The Revelation 7, how the sealed 12 tribes were supposed to happen first in the Great Tribulation, things like that I noticed. And I would ask my group leader about that. So one time the region leader came to our group cell meeting and basically threw like a big fit about it. Like, oh, how dare you ask these questions? This is the impression I got. And, yeah, it's just
so he kind of aimed that at you then?
Yeah, they'll deny it, of course, but essentially, yeah. And it's because I was like, this is around the time when I started really being like, do these doctrines truly line up?
Yep.
And yeah.
Okay. So, and I know this probably is going to play into some of what you were wanting to talk about, about the bite model, but I'm wondering if you, and obviously we know the answer to this, but did you experience aspects of mind control in this group? And maybe could you talk some about that?
Yeah, there's a very specific example that comes to mind that kind of shows just how much of a grip they had on me. And so it's February 2020. I'm in this Monday, Thursday class, and they're in Revelation. I'm celebrating a friend's birthday. I'm in a different place. We decided to go to a different town to celebrate the friend's birthday. And I just make a suggestion like, hey, can I leave at 8:30? Normally the classes start at 7 and then ends around like 9:30 or 10. I make the suggestion like, hey, I'm here for my friend. I'm still on the Zoom call, but let me just leave at 8:30. And when I made that suggestion, there was a lot of guilt and shame that was kind of thrown my way. And then eventually at 9 p.m., they said, okay, fine, you can go. And one of my friends, he went in the room during the class and stuff, say, hey, there's a lot of food. There's a lot of there's a lot of food. We want you to join us in the celebration of our friend's birthday. And, what a SCJ member would say is like, oh, well, we didn't physically force you. But what they also drill into every single day is if you disobey the leadership, that's like disobeying God. And you don't want to disobey God. And on top of that, you need a sacrifice for the greater good. So they drill that into you every single day, just like World Mission Society, just like Kelsey was talking about. And so, yeah, you're right. They don't have a physical gun in their head, but they have a spiritual gun to your head. And it's a concept called spiritual abuse that describes it perfectly.